Welcome back to KIRUTZ, the key roots of sex addiction. My name is Collin, and today we are going to be discussing the sexaholic problem. All right. In order to understand the sexaholic problem, we need to understand this particular principle that everyone wants to feel good. This isn't just some people, this is a universal concept. Everyone on earth wants to feel good. Now, not only does everyone want to feel good, but it is the primary goal of all people. It is what drives all of us in everything we say and everything we do and everything we think. And so, if it's the primary drive, when someone feels bad, they become fiercely driven to feel good again. Okay, this is not a problem at all. In fact, I think it's really positive. I think everybody would agree with me. But it is the beginning of a sexaholic problem. So, what do I mean by that? Well, some of us don't realize that feeling bad is just a part of life. And when we don't realize that, we don't accept it. And therefore, we look for solution after solution after solution to feel good again. Again, not a problem. Okay. However, what happens when we're looking for a solution is that we oftentimes will find ineffective solutions. Again, not a problem, as long as you recognize that the solution you're utilizing is ineffective. Because if you can realize that, you'll go find an effective solution. But for a lot of us, when we find an ineffective solution, we believe that it will eventually be effective and it will make us feel better. The problem with that is that when you believe an ineffective solution will eventually help you, you keep utilizing it over and over and over and over again. Now, that's the definition of insanity. When you do something over and over again, expecting different results. You can't get different results if you do the same thing over and over again. It's delusional. And this is what I call the great delusion. And by the way, I believe everybody to some extent believes in ineffective solutions to their emotional problems. And that's okay, because most of the time it doesn't create massive and severe consequences in one's life. But for the sexaholic, when he has this great delusion, a particular great delusion, his consequences are super, super severe in his life. In fact, they can lead him even to death. Okay? So, what's the sexaholic's great delusion? Well, he believes that sex is the solution to his problems, to his bad feelings. Now, the problem with that is sex does not cure anyone from bad feelings. Anyone knows that. Go have sex. Probably in a week from then, you'll have a problem. Maybe even tomorrow, you'll have a problem, right? So sex doesn't get rid of problems, but the sexaholic believes that it's going to cure him. Okay? So when the sexaholic believes that sex is the cure for his problems, he continuously goes back to sex. And when he believes that sex will solve his problems, this is what we call lusting. A more definition or a dictionary definition of lust is that lust is a belief that a natural instinct serve a purpose it was never designed to serve. So again, sex is the natural instinct. The purpose that a sexaholic believes it's to be utilized for is to solve his problems. That's lusting. Now, I want to introduce another concept that a sexaholic is allergic to lust. Whenever he thinks that sex will solve his problem, he has an allergic reaction. So, someone who's allergic to pollen, when he or she becomes or comes in contact with pollen, you know, the eyes start swelling, they start itching, maybe he or she gets a runny nose. For the sexaholic, when the allergic reaction to lust kicks in, he has a insatiable craving for sex. okay, and he can't stop himself. So that's really important because if that is triggered, he's basically really in trouble, okay? So he can't touch lust at all, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about sex as a painkiller. So the sexaholic believes that sex works because it's kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It actually does produce a pain killing effect, but only for a time. Okay, remember that it does not cure bad feelings. So the sexaholic uses this cure like Tylenol, but sex to cure bad feelings is like poisoned Tylenol to cure cancer. You see, Tylenol will help someone to feel better, but it will never cure the cancer. And if he keeps utilizing Tylenol to cure his cancer, he's going to die. Okay. But for the sexaholic, it's like poisoned Tylenol. When he utilizes sex to make himself feel better, it does make him feel better as it is killing him. Okay. So, what do I mean by that? Well, all individuals experience tolerance, and what tolerance is a diminished reaction to a drug, right? And will you say that the drug is sex? When an individual takes, let's just talk about a drug for right now, but when an individual takes a particular drug for a particular purpose over longer periods of time, the drug no longer works like it used to. One has to take more and more of it, or even has to make, possibly has to add additional medications in order to get the same pain killing effect. The same thing happens with sex. When a sexaholic turns to sex over and over again, it stops working like it used to as a painkiller. So, in order to get the original effects, the sexaholic has to either have sex more frequently or for longer periods of time, or he's got to change his sexual behaviors in order to get the same effect. The problem with this is as the sexaholic engages more in sex or in different sexual behaviors, he takes more risks. He starts causing problems in his life and problems in other people's lives, and he starts creating more and more pain. Okay? So, tolerance will lead to more severe consequences or more pain. When the sexaholic feels more pain, the delusion kicks in that sex will solve his pain, so he goes back to sex. Okay? The more he goes back to sex, the more pain is produced, and this is how the addiction cycle is born. The summary of our problem is we start with bad feelings, we start searching to feel good when we're feeling bad. Okay. And for the sexaholic, if he's lusting, the allergy is triggered, the delusion is triggered, and he acts out sexually over and over and over again. He builds a tolerance, which ultimately creates more consequences, which leads to bad feelings, and he goes back to sex. Okay, that's the summary of the problem with sexaholic. So, what's the solution? Well, I just want you to know that allergies are not curable. Anybody who's got an allergy to pollen is going to have that allergy most likely for the rest of his life. Okay, so a sexaholic, unlike other people, will most likely have this physical allergy to lust, which creates a craving for the rest of his life. We can't fix that. But what we can fix is the emotional negativity. Okay. We can work to create better emotional regulation for the sexaholic so he feels better most of the time, reducing any or most risk of triggering his allergic reaction and getting into his sexual behaviors. We can also help a sexaholic awaken from his delusion that sex cures negative feelings. It does not. Now, that can take a long time. However, it is curable. The last bullet point here is that we need to help the sexaholic keep his illness top of mind. He needs to understand his addiction cycle and that he has an allergy and he just can't touch lust. So we can do that by engaging him in intense either treatment or 12-step groups so that he can keep it, he can stay aware of it and make sure that he doesn't engage in lust anymore. Now, I haven't given you a very detailed description of the solution and explain that in depth, but we'll do that in another video. In the meantime, I hope this was helpful for you to understand the sexaholic problem. And if you ever need to ask me any questions or need advice, feel free to reach out to KIRUTZ.com. Reach out to me through KIRUTZ.com, and I will be glad to get back to you. All right. I wish you well.